Here we go, folks. First, little Rumble Live. Welcome. I just figured out some little tips and tricks from the Rumble studio there. But yes, there should be a grand old time here. Over on all the platforms, I'm actually going to double check YouTube here. Camera looks a little weird to me just because it's like flipped backwards, but aside from that, oh wow, looky here. We got a live on YouTube there. So I will be looking out for the chats and things that come on in here. But as always, I've got basically a little line of questioning that we can all run through and then tackle the live questions as they come in. Should be pretty fun. We're here Saturday Night Live, live action, y'all. So for the ones joining in, you already know what to do. We even got a little soundboard hooked up now, so we could do that. Probably get me demonetized on YouTube, but who gives a shit, you know? But welcome. I'm going to start with our initial questions that have come in through all the emails and things. And as you guys pop in, let me know where you're from, what you're up to this Saturday. We've got a little bit of kava here, so I'm getting a little frisky for the people out there. But let's see. Let us begin our live question and answer. And the first one, really, why do I feel like I'm doing everything healthy, but I still feel exhausted? So fatigue, extremely common. And I just dropped one of my very first longer form videos on fatigue on both Rumble and YouTube and all the longer form type platforms. But yes, fatigue, despite even good habits, it's going to kind of rely around the adrenals and even the thyroid there too. So over time, when you're getting chronically inflamed, these two tissues in particular, and glands for that matter, both the thyroid and the adrenals, are going to suffer a ton. So you can't outwork broken chemistry or chronic inflammatory stressors there. That's why it's so key to be doing adequate testing. Things like looking at cortisol rhythms, looking at your thyroid hormones, getting full panels of blood work on something like a thyroid panel, because very, very infrequently do I see people getting enough labs. Anyway, actually, I'm going to put up the banner here so that people know when they pop in what to do there. But yeah, I mean, something like simple to start with here. If you are fatigued, one, figure out why. Figure out why you're fatigued, because I don't want you wasting a bunch of money there. But let me offer you this. Doing things like adrenal glandular. This is basically a gland that's going to have mixed liver in there along with adrenal glands themselves. You will be getting some of those excess hormone from the bovine adrenal gland tissue, and it will definitely make a huge difference in why you're fatigued. But your electrolytes can be off. You could be anemic. There's the low thyroid hormone scenario that can come out here too, which if you start supporting your adrenals, you're going to see crossover effects there. So something like Rehmannia, ashwagandha, doing liver glandular with some adrenal glandular in there too, you'll definitely see some great benefit. But from there on out, if you're eating kale and still exhausted, it's not a willpower issue, it's a chemistry issue for sure. So but yes. Okay, cool. Still learning some of the controls and things on here. But another question, why can I lose weight no matter how little I eat? This is pretty confusing for a lot of people because you don't want to just eat as little as possible. That really doesn't make any sense, and you'll honestly hold on to weight If you're doing that for long periods of time and your labs are completely thrown off to begin with, I am a lover of things like fasting and things there, but we got to be kind of smart with how we're doing things here. And you should primarily be shooting for like 70% protein and body weight. And when you get enough proteins in and fats in, you will see dramatic weight loss. And am I against doing something like intermittent fasting? No. Chronic dieting, though, will slow metabolism down. So those hormones, insulin, leptin, cortisol, are going to have to try and adapt to being famished or just not having enough nutrients in there to begin with. So your body's not broken. It is trying to protect you, even though you're not eating enough, which is very common, certainly not normal. But getting those hormonal labs done, because that's really going to show you where the deficits are there. Even a fasting insulin is a great thing to look at too, along with getting something like leptin done as well. So we have the no sugar panel, or it might be called the diabetes panel now. I'm not too sure. I forget. But something like maybe Gymnema, California Poppy, depending on the scenario, if it is more of a stress hormonal thing that's going on there, or if it's more of a, sugar issue, to be honest, because people are over abusing sugar way, way too much. So that's extremely common, honestly. It's where people find themselves getting into some trouble. But great question, though. Why do I have zero motivation or drive anymore? This question came from a guy, so typically you're going to have some type of testosterone issue there. But low motivation can also be from issues with dopamine. That's why I love sipping on something like kava, because you're going to have positive effects on dopamine cycles there with the brain. But it's an imbalance from stress too. There's also inflammatory components that come along with this too, because your food and the histamine reactions that are occurring on the inside, whether allergic or just cortisone responding to, that can make you feel really tired and not very motivated. That's really common. We're talking about cortisol quite a bit here tonight because it's just heavily connected to a lot of these things. But something like a Dutch test, you can get both, your daily cortisol rhythm. So looking at honestly the free amounts that are in the tissues, but then also getting a metabolized cortisol done on that Dutch test as well. That's going to pretty much show you how much you're producing in a day. But a cool thing along with that Dutch test is the organic acid portion of that, which looks at norepinephrine, adrenaline, dopamine, and saying, hey, are you deficient in some of these things? So for somebody asking about, zero motivation, zero drive, as soon as you're waking up in the morning, maybe doing something like Mucuna seed, doing something like kava, something like bacopa, assuming that everything else is looking pretty good there. The no drive thing, it's not like a personality issue. It is certainly connected to the brain, and brain chemistry. Being on an empty tank sets you up for, not so good things. So yes, let's see. Do we got any live chats rolling yet? Not yet, but I'm sure they'll be coming in here soon. But welcome everybody. First, a little dual Rumble and YouTube live here, which I love, because typically I'm over on TikTok ranting and fighting with retarded people. To be honest, it's just a freaking joke over there. I'm actually going to scooch this light. It's like right over my shoulder. Scooch this puppy. Oh, wrong way. Let's go there. Nice. All right. Now we look a little more civilized. So, but let me pop open the YouTube thing here too. Make sure that I can see the banner. Yes, beautiful. Beautiful. We got the banner up there. So, but either way, why do I feel like my hormones are ruining my life? This is a good one. And it's not just estrogen. Let me be very clear. Excuse me, gross ass burp there. Estrogen is not a hormone. To be just straight up honest with you guys, estrogen is not a hormone. It's a classification of hormones. There's 9 different estrogen metabolites that you could be looking at. I think people need to look at them all because it's incomplete when you're not having all these things tested. And I think that you should be looking at things both in the blood and in the urine to get a full picture on things. But progesterone could be thrown off too, and that, again, cortisol. Again, I've never thought we'd be mentioning cortisol this much in a live. If that is a dominant hormone, you will be hijacking your mood. You will be hijacking your sleep, your energy. And hormones do not ask permission. They run your life. They just take over. But yes, doing both blood and urine testing here, you can get a full grasp as to what is happening entirely. What to do in the meantime, something like Sasandra if you are a female, something like California Poppy, Chaste Tree, and maybe even a little bit of Dong Quai in the first 12 days of the cycle, and then switching to Chaste Tree in days 13 through 26, you can support normal FSH and LH regulation there. So taking that throughout the month. But yes, if you keep running into those inflammatory stressors, which are mental, chemical, physical stressors, you will constantly be having those battles. It's not going to end. So you can do good supplementation and take great things. It's just that over time, you're going to be taking supplements forever. So the goal is to spend less and less money over time, not more and more, and running into further complications there. So be cautious of that stuff. Okay. A little quiet on YouTube for Friday night. My goodness. My goodness. We are at 420 subscribers on YouTube. Let's get up to 500, people. Let's get on up there. Honestly, it's pretty late for me here too, but okay. So, number 5, why do I always feel inflamed? Even though my doctor says, hate that one. I hate when people say, my doctor says, everything looks normal. Ugh. It's normal because enough isn't being looked at. So that's why. That's why you're seeing that everything looks normal. Standard blood work often is going to miss early signs of inflammatory stressors, and your immune system can be pretty much smoldering while the labs still look fine. So not enough is being looked at. Key things: food allergy testing, stool testing, looking at a little piece of blood work with CRP on there, ESR, GFR, liver markers, a lipid panel. These are all great things to assess the inflammatory status inside of your body. And I mean, early on, inflammatory support, things like Albizia, things like turmeric, that are going to provide good down regulation of interleukin 6 and basically tumor necrosis alpha pathways, which both Albizia and turmeric will inhibit there as you figure out what those chronic triggers are. But yes, normal labs don't mean that you're going to have a normal life. It just means that not enough was looked at. But we got to get a better idea of, what your body needs. So for people that are looking for that help, I think even in the description, let me check the descriptions on YouTube too, because yes. So I put my email in there for people that do want to reach out and get some good help there. But there we go. I'm surprised some of our YouTube community hasn't popped in here just yet. but we'll see him come on through. Either way, we've got another one, wired but tired at night. This one is like a recent question that I've been getting way too often, but why do I feel wired but tired all the time, and especially at night? So this is kind of what happens when you are in that adrenal burnout scenario. Your cortisol is stuck on all-time high at the wrong times, leaving you pretty much exhausted at the times that you need to be awake and wide awake at the times that you need to be asleep. And this is the people at night. There are some simple B vitamin deficiencies there that you could be, helping cover with something like a liver glandular. So from Equip Foods, Dr. Antonio DC, I'll probably even put that in the chats there so that you guys can see that, because this is basically a 15% off little code you can use there. From Equip Foods, they make great protein, great things there, but by doing that, you're getting the best whole food form of a multivitamin that you could ever find. It's just sourcing that needs to be great. So I know Equip Foods is doing them well, and I know that they sell their product at a damn good price for what it is. And I see companies selling liver capsules for freaking like $100 a bottle, which is crazy. That is absurd. Especially when butchers are just throwing this stuff in the garbage. So for the people that are okay with frying up some onions and garlic and making it on their own, by all means, do so. Because you're going to be making way more sense in terms of affordability there. But you're going to cover a lot of bases with that one. So the wired but tired scenario, though, it's not just B vitamins. There's heavily cortisol influence there. So valerian before bed, something like 8 p.m. if you're trying to be asleep by 9, 10 p.m. Something like California poppy to pair with that. I would just honestly leave it at those two or those three, because you're going to go very far with those. There's cases, though, where people have basically lost all programming with the circadian rhythm. They're waking up way too late in the day, and now those light receptors that impact your brain are being completely thrown off. So people that are waking up at 10 a.m., 11 a.m., that see the sun for the first time there, or to even delay seeing their sun within the eyes and things like that, or just going outside simply, reprogram that system with melatonin, because you will be able to go to sleep way sooner than you typically go and just make a lot of progress there. But tired but wired, it's not in your head. It's just a broken circadian rhythm that we have to fix. But sometimes it's due to cortisol, sometimes it's due to a lack of melatonin there, or the adrenal burnout thing, which is why I love things like valerian as well, and I love things like California poppy, but that should do you good. Okay. Let's get this up there too. Still no questions coming in from the viewership over here. Our YouTubers are quite quiet. Where's my buddies? Where's the Goodwill? Where's Rohith? It's probably too late for their time. I think they're in the Middle East, so it's a completely different time frame over there. But either way, why do I get random stomach pain that doctors can't explain? That is kind of a good thing in the sense that you don't have a disease. So a little applause there. I used to have an applause on this thing, but I don't anymore. But yeah, you're walking into the doctor's office and they're saying, "It is what it is. It is what it is." It's not what it is. What it is that the gut pain without answers usually comes from hidden food triggers, for one thing, low stomach acid. So you're eating inflammatory foods or even doing a healthy diet there. And now there's foods within that healthy diet that are creating a histamine response from IgG, delayed hypersensitive allergic reactions. So that gets a lot of backlash because certain allergists are like, "Oh, there's nothing to that." It's like, well, your patients come to me, so how's that working? Low stomach acid being number two there. I see this way too much because people not only stress their systems out chemically from a food standpoint, from a drinking standpoint, but also from a mental stress point of view. And stress mentally is going to deplete that stomach acid more than anything else, aside from eating inflammatory food all the time. But why that matters is you can't sterilize food very well, and you can't start to break those processes down and signal to the other upper digestive tract there, the small intestine, the gallbladder, the pancreas, so that you can get good stimulation of those organs and have enzymatic secretion from them too, because that's where a lot of the nutrient absorption occurs. It's right there in the small intestine as soon as you get that first initial bypass of food broken down. Underlying gut infections too, things like overgrowth of bacteria or yeast or parasitic issues I've seen too. So people think getting a GI map is enough, but you do need a comprehensive stool evaluation for that, aside from getting that food allergy panel. And you could start with something like a digestive glandular, to where it has stomach and pancreas and small intestine within that, along with liver. So just a really fancy way of getting a liver capsule in there. Digestive enzyme support, you can do, if you're on a budget, something like apple cider vinegar, doing that before every meal. Something like a tablespoon, maybe even mixing that with an aloe vera juice, you can get very good results with those two things. Even if you've been dealing with something for a very long period of time, there's going to be great reduction in a lot of the bloating, a lot of the acid reflux, because acid reflux is really a depletion of stomach acid. It is not excess. Let me be very clear. I think doctors are way off on that. That's why they prescribe the antacids and the PPIs, which does calm the fire down. But how do you rebuild the darn house? Because if you just spray the house down with water every day, well, it starts to rot at a certain point. So we can't just keep doing that. Things like Albizia, things like chamomile, not only rebuilding some of that mucosal membrane too, but still back to that allergic response thing, you are hindering some of the excess histamine reactions that are very commonly occurring with those things too. So, heck yeah. Beautiful question. All right. We've got some live questions from Nikki. Sorry if I didn't see him come in. For some reason, the chat on the camera is not showing me them as they come up. But Nikki asks, what's good for hot flashes? So getting stressed down. Because you're going to have some pregnenolone steal, even if this is perimenopausal. It may not be in menopause just yet. Say you're right before that stage, or even if you are in menopause, doesn't matter. Because getting cortisol to calm the hell down, something like California poppy, beautiful. And even second to that, black cohosh, because now you're going to get stressed down, for one thing. It's okay. Thanks. She's responding to the my late commentary to her commentary. But black cohosh and California poppy will do you freaking wonders, my friend. You just need to make sure that you're getting these from the right places. So email me or whatever, or even if you have labs, send them to me. I'm giving away a bunch of free stuff here. But beside the point, black cohosh going to help you have more availability to the estrogen receptors themselves. So there's that aspect, but then California poppy calming that cortisol rhythm down. And now that's going to help you keep your steroid hormone production, because you're not going to be pulling away from progesterone through that pregnenolone steal. I wish I had the graphics up and ready here so that I can share my screen, but first Rumble Live. So I know you're coming from YouTube, but still. California poppy ? Yes, this is an herb. It's actually the state flower of California. Pretty cool. So it does come from the U.S. and it's basically a tincture. So like I'm drinking some kava here. The Wombo combo for battling any and all stress is to combine kava and California poppy, but you don't have to. Yes, I heard black cohosh was good. Yeah, certainly. And maybe even here, to take it one step further, make it kind of a trifecta, finding a good glandular And what I mean by glandular is an organ meat capsulated system there. So something like liver blended with ovarian tissue put into a capsule form, now you're going to have some remnants of hormonal levels in there too, which is even better because now it's like, okay, we're getting the stress down. We're getting some hormonal things back in there. I'll get to you in a second. The ball of bananas is like, answer my question. So I'll get to it in a minute, but thank you very much, Nikki, for the first question. And I could direct you on where to get some of those things too. But the ball of bananas, hello. Hello. My mother had back surgery recently. Oh my goodness. And she was just at a baby shower. She says that she didn't dance crazy, and that she was doing just like normal and just helping out, moving simple movements and things. But she's in pain now, and she's been in bed all day. Excuse me. She can't get out of bed, or else she's in real pain, which is pretty extreme. So, in a scenario like this, depending on where that surgery was taking place, I'd assume it would be in the low back. Sometimes pretty common to have that being performed on the cervical spine there, but if it's in the low back, something like Boswellia, whether it's in the low back or even in the neck, it doesn't matter. Boswellia is going to be pretty much nature's Tylenol, which there's a ton of stuff going around about Tylenol right now. But Boswellia, you have very good constituents in there that repair not just joint tissue, but desensitize some of those pain receptors. Another thing that you can do and maybe even put on topically would be probably something like passion flower so that you can have smooth muscle relaxation there and get a ton of GABA, which is a very calming neurotransmitter, and just calm down that central nervous system as much as possible. So I would be doing those two in a ton of excess. So the Boswellia and the passion flower there. But just the passion flower do topically, because if it's a female, I don't want her taking that because you'll mess with some aromatase enzymatic activity there. So, but yes. Beautiful questions, though. Beautiful questions. Look at that. All dominant from YouTube, too. Not too many on the Rumble stuff, but either way, we are headed toward 500 subscribers over on the YouTubes. I just found out today that by using Rumble Studio, I can basically do 2 streams at once, which is pretty cool. So we're definitely going to be doing this more often. But either way, good stuff. And we'll keep it rolling here. Oh, follow-up question. She should only take the passion flower? Or here's what I meant by that. She should put it on topically, so right over the area. And obviously not over an open wound or anything like that, but basically surrounding their surrounding skin there, depending on where that operation was done. And you will have pretty much a global desensory thing take place in terms of pain. And there's turmeric too, which I don't want you using like the turmeric seasoning out of your cabinet. I would be wanting us to use a liquid extract for both the passion flower and something like turmeric. But the Wellness Way is by far the best places to get those liquid herbs. So that's the company I work for. Start my own clinic pretty soon. So pretty much giving away thousands and thousands of dollars of basically free appointments so that I can build a nice little community here online that will shoot us forward with all the beautiful stuff. But heck yeah. Either way, we'll keep on rolling. Why do I snap at people for no reason? So snapping, like getting all short-tempered with people. Mood swings, usually there's a blood sugar connection to this because when that blood sugar crashes, you get hangry. We all do. But if there are issues with heightened blood sugar itself, then you're going to have those huge swings. And looking at things like insulin too, you can really hone in on, calming that down. So something like gymnema is your best bet if that is the scenario that's taking place. But hormonal shifts pretty much hijacking chemistry, which we all know is what's going to take place. So doing a fasting insulin and probably some blood work here, because you can get that fasting insulin, the glucose, about half the estrogens you can test for through the blood, and then looking at progesterone and all those things too, because there's going to be some issues there. But if your estrogens are getting too low, that's very common. And typically in that scenario, women are holding on to a lot of the androgens. So the angry type hormones, the testosterone, DHT, things that are going to create cysts, going to basically prevent you from having good ovulation throughout the month too. So if that's the case, then we're looking at something like white peony, but looking into the blood sugars, looking into the androgen and estrogens based hormones is really how you combat most of the cases that can come out with something like this. But snapping is not, it's not just up here. It's throughout the whole body. It's kind of a systemic thing going on there, but certainly. Thank you for your help. I'll be looking into what you said and seeing what works out. Heck yeah. And obviously this is very early on in the operation thing. Let's see, how many weeks? It's not a med, it's a naturally occurring, but I'm going to spell it for you here. Can't remember if it's one L or two L's. It's one L. And passion flower topically. There you go, my friend. Oh, it said only Rumble people could see my comment from the studio there, so you should be able to see that now. Boswellia. Pretty confusing name there, but actually let me pull this up here too so that I can go right to this little guy. Yeah, and one more note on that Boswellia: when you combine it with turmeric, you actually get more of the effects out of that Boswellia. So not just supporting joint tissue and repair, but healing for the skin as well. Immune modulating, assisting with things like allergies, even certain infections too. But supporting and maintaining healthier joints. So also crosses the blood-brain barrier, so it can be very calming in that aspect too. Assisting with cellular growth, cellular repair, and inhibiting any abnormal cell regenerative things that happen. But that's a beautiful herb. I think I'd healthy to say 6'7". Is it healthy to say 6'7"? That's funny. Elliot Kai. Where are you coming from? YouTube? Yeah. YouTube? I don't think I have a meme for that one, but is it healthy to say 6'7"?
Oh, no.
I don't know how loud that was, but.
What's up, brother?
What's up, brother? Either way. When someone mentions 6'7", it's like. The "we'll be right back" from ALR. I don't know what that one means, brother. I'll have to look that up. I'm going to look it up right now. Let's see what happens. Oh, he said, all right. That's a new one for me. Holy shit. Getting old here. All right. Thank you for the comments, people. You could be anywhere in the world, but you are here with me right now, putting in the work, commenting, doing all the good stuff, asking your questions. Oh, another question from the Ball of Bananas. I'm surprised we only got one Rumble person, and it's me so far. So I thought I'd get a little bit more. But either way, and we're trying to get to 500 subscribers over on YouTube, so let's get it going.
God did.
Thank you. We've been trying so many solutions like painkillers, pain management, pain medications, but it has not been working out. I hope what you said is correct, and I'll try my best. Thank you. Yes, and cut the darn sugar, because typically when people are in chronic pain, and honestly, what's going to help not just heal from the surgical things there is getting inflammation down. So I don't know where she's at in post-surgical recovery and things, but doing some simple things like walking, things like an inversion table, the boswellia, the turmeric, the topical passion flower, cutting wheat, dairy, corn, soy, processed sugar, get that stuff out of your life. So, it's not going to help you in any way, or your mother here. But yeah, great question or comment. But sometimes when people are like, I don't want to cut the inflammatory foods out.
Oh, no.
And it's just like,
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay?
that's what patients are telling me, folks. Tell me you're not that guy, pal. But you're right. Yeah. I mean, the soda, all the things like that. Whoa, how'd your chat pop up on there? That was pretty cool. So I can click it. Wow, look at that. Fancy. It's moving my camera around though. How do I unclick it? Very cool. Just keeps moving my camera around. Nikki says, I need to eat more veggies. Don't we all? Don't we all, Nikki? So yeah, I mean, in terms of veggies there, how you can go further without having to eat as much of them. You could do things like pickled or even fermented veggies, because you're going to get more out of these things. I'm not somebody that's going to sit here and say you have to do 10 cups of vegetables a day. I think that's ridiculous. Realistically, doing a couple tablespoons of things like sauerkraut or pickled and fermented onions, radish, jalapenos, asparagus, beans, and sprouted vegetables too. But even things like berries, they're going to contain a ton of prebiotic fiber in there too. So that way you can kind of fix a little bit of the sugar craving and keep ahead on some of the glucose absorption that will come from that. That's just a beautiful part of what fiber does there. But I'm going to show Nikki's chat in there. But yeah, we all get on that same token there of having to eat more veggies and sucking at it, just like people don't hydrate enough. I mean, look at this big old freaking mason jar. It's like the size of my damn head here, folks. And I put a little bit of salt in there just so you can have better fluid absorption and not have to pee every 20 minutes. People don't put any electrolytes in their water. So something like a Celtic sea salt shaker, I usually have it in here, but I don't have it right now. And I just put a little dash of that in every single water that I drink, because now you're going to retain more of that fluid inside of your cells and even feel less fatigue, feel more energetic, not pee every 20 minutes. That's like my favorite part. I hate having to stop all things work and just do that. So, heck yeah. But Nikki, just out of curiosity, are you in menopause or perimenopausal? And if you are not comfortable sharing that, you don't have to. You can send me an email. I put that in the description of the live here. Holy shit, it's been 40 minutes too. That's pretty wild. That is pretty wild. But let me know. Either way, We covered why people get snappy. Hold on, I got to answer a little email here. So there's that. Okay. So, why do I feel like my brain is slowing down? I am in my 30s. Brain fog, memory slips, these come from the inflammatory stressors that I discussed earlier. Chronic mental, chemical, physical stress over time, poor sleep habits, nutritional deficits, not just aging. So, again, something like that liver capsule, getting enough of those micro and macronutrients in, getting a slew of vitamins, minerals, and iron, B12, beautiful things that come along with that. But the inflammatory means sugar is going to damage your brain more than anything else. Well, heavy metals too, and things like mold and other toxicities that can occur, which I do see that occurring too. And honestly, it's really in the younger kids that I see the heavy metal issue, unless you have heavy metal or metal fillings in your teeth. Um, Typically, adults can handle this a little bit better than young kids do. But the sugar fiends out there, yeah, you're going to age your brain quicker than anything else. Actually, hemoglobin A1C, beautiful marker to be getting done. I think everybody should get that marker done. But once that gets above 5.3, your brain literally starts to shrink. And that's in order to protect itself from the circulating sugars and preventing glycation of the brain, which is pretty much the oxidation of your own brain tissue. So terrifying. And if you look at most people getting a hemoglobin A1C done, they usually are sitting somewhere around 5.7, 5.6, 6.3, somewhere in there. So it's pretty ridiculous how high those things are getting. But the gut also has a huge connection to the brain. That's why they call it the second brain. There is crazy amounts of research that are being done on this currently right now. But what we have so far is not only neurotransmitter production, but also feeding the brain of signaling too. So there's only one nerve that goes from the brain down to the GI, but there's 10,000 that go from the GI up to the brain. That's alarming. And that impacts your mental health. And just to kind of segue on the neurotransmitter portion of this, the majority of your serotonin comes from the GI. It does not come from your brain. So that's why the concept of SSRIs, I don't really understand. I don't recommend them anyways. I legally can't. But your serotonin production is largely from the brain. And there's hormonal influences that can take place there too, and just how sensitized they are and how they act a little bit there. But getting a GI test done can help you really rebuild a lot of those things. And just cutting your sugars, maybe doing something like Bacopa or Gotu Kola or Ginkgo, probably pairing Ginkgo with Bacopa, and just cutting down on the sugar a ton. Also, leaning into your omega-3s, your walnuts, your salmon. Obviously, salmon should be wild caught. You don't want farm fished, terribly sourced things in there. Along with that GI test, though, measuring something like CRP, getting B vitamins checked, getting vitamin D checked, your HDL, part of the lipid panel, I would want to see that too. But the nervous system support directly is going to be something like Bacopa or Ginkgo in combination, just to have an even more broader effect on that. So your brain's not getting old. It's getting inflamed. Getting inflamed, which is pretty much everybody. It's freaking wild. But yes, thank you for the engagement, Nikki. You're a beast. You're a beast, my friend. So yes, good stuff though. Either way, I'm going to pull up another question here from my TikTok DMs, because I'm mainly streaming on TikTok most of the time. It's just people are trying to think of the nicer words to choose here. On TikTok, people are, I don't even know. Um, mentally disabled?
Are you delusional? Do you suffer from a mental illness?
It's basically what I want to tell every TikToker. It's pretty insane, especially when I'm talking about the things that I do and just the support that I give people. It's like, what are you doing? This is pseudoscience. You're trying to hurt people. It's like, guys, I run pre and post labs on every freaking patient. All of them see their numerical values improve over time. They spend less money over time. They have less care over time because I'm teaching them how to take care of their own bodies. So, Nikki says, thanks. You're very welcome, Nikki. Thank you. But either way, I feel like I'm falling apart after having kids. This was more of a statement, more than a question, but postpartum, especially if you just had a kid, any woman knows this, you're going to have major shifts in the brain. And some of that comes from nutritional depletion because you gave a lot of your nutrient reserves, hormonal reserves to your kiddo through the placenta, through your breast tissue, and feeding them breast milk. So the adrenal stress, though, which is a whole nother aspect of this, you're running on fumes a lot of the time. So especially in the earlier months of breastfeeding, you can do something like Chase Tree, which can help support normal LH signaling and leads you to have not just smaller constituent amounts of progesterone within that herb, the Chase Tree herb, but also telling your brain to produce more or to signal down to produce more with the cycles that you can eventually get back. Even doing something like colostrum. So colostrum not only good for the GI, for the phagocytic activity, for the natural killer cell activity, which is what literally eats away cancer cells. It's like natural killers are these little immune cells that just have a sword and stab antigens that come into the system, but even cancer cells. But with the colostrum thing, you're basically taking in constituents from a cow's first milk, and now you can give those good immunoglobulins, the IgA, the IgG, the IgM that is in that colostrum to your child. So really cool stuff there. But Chase Tree, some colostrum, earlier support, not only helping with breastfeeding, but also the mental stress side of things there, especially if you feel like you're falling apart after having a kid. Even pairing that with like California Poppy, doing a hormone panel is probably a good idea, depending on how long ago you had that kid. Sometimes it's not really worth it because we know that they're going to look super low. So maybe even getting like a nutrient assessment. So Genova does very good, basically a nutrient panel that can show you where you're deficient in a lot of these things, especially postpartum. Or maybe something like a glandular that has some adrenal tissue in there. You'll do very well. But motherhood is not breaking you. It's just some chemistry that we have to correct. So, we got a fatigue question here. Hold on, let me check our live chats. See what we got brewing there. We're all good there. So fatigue-based question, which just dropped 20-minute video all on fatigue, from anemia to nutrient deficiencies to electrolyte imbalances to thyroid things and hormonal things that can go wrong with that. So check out that video. It's very in-depth, kind of a one-topic deep dive, which a lot of the people on my YouTube friends actually requested that. The Goodwill, if he's popping in here at some point, he actually said, hey, can you make isolated, topic videos and go really into depth on one topic at a time? Because I've been doing the shorts a bunch, but this is just a much better way to pretty much get a full layout of everything I want to say into one piece, which has been actually pretty fun. But either way, this question, I say it's about fatigue because they claim, why do I feel like I need coffee just to function? So whereas you never want to feel that way, right? Needing coffee just to function, caffeine daily just to wake you up, your adrenals are tapping out here. I would love to see you do something like Romania and ashwagandha paired together, because they're pretty much a wombo combo in the sense that you're going to have a push-up bra for the adrenals. You're going to have, a slowing down of the metabolism for cortisol as a hormone in itself, meaning you're not going to be getting rid of that hormone as quickly, and you'll even help with the production of those things too, and still combating things that can go wrong with the immune system there, and helping sleep patterns. There's even effects on the liver that can happen there, and balancing out some of the androgens and estrogens there too. But you're borrowing energy that you don't have. So it's like taking a loan out, and the tank's empty. So we got to start to pour some fuel back into that tank and slow it down a bit from taking that foot off the gas a little bit. There can be some thyroid issues here too. So getting a thyroid panel, key stuff to be looking at. Again, getting nutrient panels done, something like Genova, great company that you can get those things mapped out for. But yeah, if coffee's your lifeline, maybe even pairing licorice with the Romania instead of the ashwagandha. You'll see great benefit, and very quickly. Okay. Why do I get random chest flutters or palpitations? So heart palpitations, this is something that I had, that I dealt with. And no, it is not fun. It feels like you're gonna, if you know what I mean. Trying not to get censored here, But hey, stomach acid can be very low. You can have potassium citrate, can be very deficient. That's where I would want to start with some of the electrolyte things. Again, adding the salt to your water. You need like 5 grams a day, guys, of sodium, and not like table salt that you find in a diner, which I say all the time, but your Celtic sea salt, your pink Himalayan, those are the best ones. So there can be electrolyte imbalances. There can be stress hormones that are just going up like crazy. And if that is the case, you're doing a little bit of potassium in there, you're getting some salt in your water, you're eating enough. Let's do some California poppy. Let's calm down that adrenal output a little bit there. And do an apple cider vinegar before meals. So those 3-4 things right there, you're going to have a very good little concoction to start to combat these things, but it's pulling away the triggers too. Like I said, I was somebody that had heart palpitations every day, going to sleep, waking up, nausea, and a ton of GI symptoms too. Crazy acne all over my chest and back, which I no longer have because of the Wellness Way. And that's actually why I joined the company, because I was going through that while I was in school, and I took my loan money to go through care. Aside from the point, there can be some instances where there is a hyperthyroid scenario here, but most of the time I'm seeing nutritional deficiencies, cortisol rhythms completely thrown off. Maybe you're deficient in a little bit of magnesium that way, but that heart racing isn't just nerves. There's some chemistry going sideways here, and providing some good support like that, you can get a ton of benefits. I use pink Himalayan. Beautiful, Nikki. And obviously, sourcing is key, guys. Make sure you're getting your sourcing from the right place. I definitely don't want to see people using iodized, crap. So, but for the person asking about the heart palpitations, I feel you. Why do I always crash at 3 p.m.? Again, check out the fatigue video. I talk about this in there. There can be a couple things. Afternoon crashes, typically we're looking at blood sugar in the majority of people. Obviously, there's not a cure-all for anything that I'm talking here. Everybody's going to be different. Please understand that. Nobody's the same. All you people are special little individuals. So there can be ties to cortisol. There can be ties to the blood sugar, and cortisol manages blood sugar. So if you're stressing out all the time, guess what's being dumped into the bloodstream? Blood sugar. So if you're stressing out all morning, or doing like intermittent fasting, or eating once a day, and now you're crashing at 3 p.m., guess what? We got to stop that. Typically, I will have people change their intermittent fasting routines and have them do an early breakfast, a late lunch, and no dinner if you want to do a 16-8 or something like that. Because now you're going to fast even better throughout the night and have more of a thermogenic effect there. You're going to burn more, getting some good resistance training in maybe by 10 a.m. or if you can get it in over lunch or before work even, because that's going to allow you to burn up some of the excess cortisol rhythm and even replenish some of those adrenals while going through that. Bring good blood flow throughout the whole body. Consume a lot of that free glucose through the muscle stimulation that you're going to have, because insulin is a growth hormone. It is the most powerful growth hormone in the entire body. So using your muscle tissue to have all that used up and be stored as glycogen and all the good stuff there, that's a really good way to combat that. Obviously, I'm always going to lean toward getting people tested for these things. If it is that blood sugar issue, though, you can use something like Gymnema. If it's more of the cortisol, circadian rhythm issue, maybe we do, a later small licorice dose in the early afternoon and some ashwagandha in there, just so that we're not having too much of a pump up, but we're still fueling things up there. So some good stuff. But the 3 p.m. slump is certainly not normal. Nikki, let's pop Nikki's question up, make it all official. I thought I had an applause button because Nikki sent in a question, so I'm going to... That's how it feels when people submit questions. So keep submitting them. I used to have acid reflux. Apple cider vinegar makes me nervous. Will it make the reflux return? No. I'm actually going to leave the questions up when I answer them now. Can you see it on YouTube? Yes, you can. Cool. This is cool. Getting the hang of things. First Rumble Studio stream. So here's the thing, Nikki. Acid reflux is from low stomach acid. I don't know if you're laughing at the meme or something else that I said, but the reflux is from a lack of stomach acid. So not enough. Let me say that again. Not enough stomach acid. Mental stress depletes stomach acid. Inflammatory foods deplete stomach acid. Mental stress plus inflammatory foods, acid reflux. So, yes, it will certainly help. It will not bring it back. If you are a little bit, walking on ice, thinking about that, go to a health food store tomorrow because they're not open anymore. Something like a Whole Foods, something like that. Sometimes people have kind of off-branded versions in their own towns, but you want to get an aloe vera juice, not gel. Please do not drink aloe vera gel. Aloe vera juice paired with the apple cider vinegar. Aloe vera is the longevity herb. It promotes stem cell function. It does rebuild the mucosal lining within the esophageal tissue, but also within the stomach, small and large intestine. And it's like you would put aloe vera gel on a sunburn. It's very cooling. It feels amazing. It's soothing to drink, but it does taste like pool water. But this is not about taste. This is about getting some good healing done, right? But yeah, I can see why you're nervous. Nobody wants to have acid reflux, but I went through the same thing. I had acid reflux. And for me, how you get that to go away is you drop the inflammatory foods, wheat, corn, soy, processed sugars, seed oils, non-organic foods. If you just do that list right there and now do a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar mixed with 2 fluid ounces, roughly, of aloe vera juice, not gel, you will go very far and you will see that reduce, and you'll get more from your food. You'll absorb more from all the meals that you eat. You'll be bloated less. You'll be pooping like a goose. So beautiful things. And if you don't really see that, much of a dramatic improvement go on there, up it to 4 fluid ounces of the aloe vera juice, not gel. So good question though. Love it, Nikki. Love it. I know it's kind of boring when people aren't submitting questions. Hence, I play the elevator music. Either way, good stuff, folks. Good stuff. Ooh, Nikki says, awesome, thanks. Yes, I was nervous about aloe vera juice. What? How are you nervous about it? It's a longevity herb. It's the longevity plant. It is an herb. It's a concentrated food. And amazing. I mean, it's 99 or 98, 99% water, with beautiful constituents in there. And like, okay, I forgot to say this. When you are getting those things, the apple cider vinegar, the aloe vera gel, the brand does matter. So something like Bragg's, good source to get the apple cider vinegar from. The aloe vera juice, your best brand is going to come in a dark purple bottle, and it's going to be Lily of the Desert. Oh, no, I meant, oh, got a pen. No, I meant nervous about ACV. Yeah, the ACV, totally get it, but this is how you make it go away, and go away for good. So I get it, but hey, basic chemistry, you could look this up too. Acid reflux is from low stomach acid, not too much, which is kind of crazy because they prescribe the PPIs, the proton pump inhibitors, the antacids, the TUMS. Those are the worst things that you could possibly be doing, in my opinion. Again, not medical advice. Don't put me in handcuffs. I'm just playing. But either way. Yes. Get the juice, not the gel. The juice. The juice, not the gel. Oh man, we're having a grand old time here on Saturday Night Live, baby. You guys could be anywhere in the world, but you're here hanging out, getting some health questions answered, which is honestly it's pretty fun. I love doing this stuff. But another question: why do I bruise and bleed so easily? I love this. Fragile blood vessels are one reason. Slow clotting point toward both of those things. Point towards some nutritional things that are deficient, and issues with the liver there too, along with low platelets. It's not clumsiness, which a lot of people blame, bumping and bruising on. Obviously, getting a CBC done, you can get those platelet cells mapped out. You can see with the CMP some of those liver enzymes to check on that. Vitamin C, a little bit harder to test in that way, but your best source of vitamin C is going to be from adrenal gland tissue. That is by far the highest bioavailable source of vitamin C on the entire planet. The emergency packets in your Rite Aid or CVS is dog shit. Terrible. Undertaker Bell. Terrible stuff, guys. Sourced from corn. Ascorbic acid that's not even in the proper formulation of these things. But there's some herbs that have vitamin C in there too. Things like Schisandra, which now with Schisandra you can be getting good enough dosage of that vitamin C along with tending to some of those liver issues that could possibly go wrong there too. On the issue of low platelets and things, I would like to see something like Astragalus or something like Rehmannia, because those are going to have a top-down approach, helping prolong the life of stem cells. And when I say top-down approach, literally from the bone marrow through the immune pathways, you are creating more and more of those different forms of white blood cells. But yes, at the very least, start with a good source of vitamin C. Adrenal gland tissue, by far the best one. But the takeaway there is that, just like I've been saying for all of them, the easy bruising is a chemistry issue, not a tissue issue. So, also collagen and things like K2 just came to mind too. When you're taking things like vitamin D, please make sure that there's good sources of K2 in there. If you know that you do not clot very well or having issues with that, or even breaking up clots, NATO is the best source to get that from, which is basically a fermented soybean and very popular in Asian cultures. And that fermentation of the soybean doesn't give you the damaging effects from conventional soy and the GMO stuff that's going to have a ton of pesticides, herbicides, and the phytoestrogens in there too. So you're combating some of that. What did I say too? I said the K2 and collagen. So I mentioned the Equip Foods earlier. I'm actually going to put that in the chat there. The Equip Foods. Oh, it only goes to the Rumble. Equip Foods. Great source to get a good collagen from, because now you're going to have, honestly, one of the best beef source collagens, and they don't charge a bunch for it. So there you go. And if you use Dr. Antonio DC in the description here, I don't think I put it in there, but send me an email. I'll give you the discount code so that you can get that for even cheaper. But any way we can help here, folks. Why do I get dizzy when I don't eat? Okay, skipping meals. You're going to have the issues with cortisol too, because blood sugar is going to be crashing, and then you're going to have stress hormones dump into the system to try and bring that glucose back into circulation, because you have to have a teaspoon of blood sugar constantly, or else you will die, folks. You will, not good. So skipping meals, triggering the low blood sugar crash, poor cortisol backup so that you can't recover from that. Brain fuel dependent on glucose. That's its main fuel source, and you can't run on empty. So getting fasting insulin checked, getting cortisol checked, key things to be doing. If it is the blood sugar issue, again, Gymnema. Gymnema, awesome. Not only helping with preventing the absorption of glucose, but also retraining your brain to not be as sensitized to glucose. Like, I'll have people take a piece of chocolate and I'll give them the Gymnema herb from the Wellness Way, and then they put that Gymnema on their tongue first and then eat a piece of chocolate, and it will taste horrible. And the whole point of that is to reprogram that brain so that you're not being so sugar hungry all the time. But also you'll have great effects on the beta cells of the pancreas. Again, like I said, numbing the sugar receptors of the tongue, and then some downstream effects with the brain and blood vessel tissue from preventing that glucose absorption there too, and kind of helping out the hormonal side of things from that as well, because the hormones follow the inflammatory stressors, and sugar, very inflammatory if it's in excess. But yeah, the dizzy spells, you can be nutrient deficient. I don't even know why I didn't start there. I mean, people often enough are not eating enough. So potassium too, big one. If this is like an autoimmune POTS scenario, that can happen as well, but there'd usually be more things occurring there, not just those. So, okay. How we doing? How we doing, folks? Oh man. Somehow almost 10 p.m. here, folks. That's crazy. Usually I'm not up this late ever. But we're here doing our first Rumble live stream from the Rumble studio. I think I'm going to be doing this every freaking day now because I didn't know you can stream from multiple platforms at once. And hell, I think you can also do Facebook in here, which I may as well do all three. Right? But yes, certainly. 2, just as a side note, what's this? Oh. Anyways. Why did it scroll me to the bottom? This is nice. Did you mean the elevator music? Dun, dun, dun. Nikki, do you know the chill guy meme that went around a little while ago? That's a good one. Nice and peaceful. Nice and peaceful here on Saturday night. Thanks for hanging out, Nikki. Look at you, the lone trooper. This certainly is nice, huh? But yes, when it's boring, it's like,
Bruh.
you know.
What are you doing?
Nothing. Me? Just hanging around.
It's kind of what it feels like sometimes. Okay, back to the questions. Actually, before we even get there, we got a couple more left before we riggedy wrap things up here. For the people that have labs that they want me to review, or you want basically free consultations until my office opens, I'm here in New Jersey. We're going to be setting up the Wellness Way Randolph location in Randolph, New Jersey, Morris County. Basically, before that office opens, I'm giving away thousands and thousands of dollars in consults. And yeah, for the sole purpose of building a community online and building that up as much as possible. Getting a bunch of followers, getting subscribers. Like I said, on YouTube, we're at 420, almost toward the 500 range, which is pretty cool. But yeah, send me an email. I put it in the description there if you need personalized food structuring. I hate saying diet, but food structuring, lifestyle changes that you would need to make based on the individual there. So there's no protocols with anything that I do. It's all based on each person and any supplementation that could be necessary in the beginning. And I will give you discounts as often as I can with the ones that I do have. So trying to help out the community as much as possible. Nikki says, see you later. Good night. See you later, Nikki. See you tomorrow, possibly. I have to go to a wedding, actually, but I will do my very best. But either way, a couple more questions here. Why do we get restless legs at night? So restless legs are most often going to come from low magnesium, poor iron imbalance, also linked there to something like inflammation of the peripheral nerves. That can happen too, leading to like a tired leg or spastic leg that continues to occur. I see some issues here with dopamine too, and a lot of stimulation toward the end of the night. So correcting that circadian rhythm, getting your blue lights off, watching the sunset, getting off the screens and things. I know it's 10 o'clock at night, Eastern time right now, which I should not be doing this stuff. But if you are having an issue with that, magnesium glycinate, something that you could be doing at night, just helping that central nervous system relax. And that's exactly what magnesium is going to do. You know, if there's low reserves of dopamine and things like that, you can do something like Mucuna seed, but I wouldn't do this anywhere near night. If you build up those reserves during the day, you shouldn't run into that issue. But maybe your ferritin's getting a little bit low, and in some scenarios, there's B vitamins that can get low. In that scenario, I would want you to be doing something like liver glandular or grass-fed liver capsules, which from the Equip Foods website, like I said, cheapest, much less expensive version of that. that you can get. Definitely way better than paying $90 for liver capsules, but put the discount code in there as well. So there you go. The last of the kava. I love kava, especially for Saturday Night Live. Goodness, good stuff. Tastes horrible though. Say goodbye to Nikki there. Why do I always feel like I'm holding on to water weight? I love this question. Water retention is an issue with inflammation, systemic inflammation. You'll see this pool in your rings, in your wrists, in your feet. Your socks and your shoes won't fit correctly. There are hormonal links to this too. And no, it is not too much salt. Give me a break. Way too many people blame salt for what the sugar did. So getting sugar tested for, getting insulin tested for, getting CRP looked at, testing for food allergies, all beautiful things that you could be doing, and how to support your kidneys and start to have more of a diuretic effect on things like this when you are holding on to things like water weight. Albizia, paired with dandelion root, fantastic things that you could be doing. You will get an absurd amount of inflammation support there for one thing, but also having diuretic effects on both of those. So please be consuming enough water if you are doing those two herbs. But we got to get inflammation down. You got to cut the inflammatory foods. You got to be going to sleep and getting all the lifestyle things back on track. But if you're puffy all the time, it is not just water. It is a chemical thing going on there too. And then our last question, if we don't have any live chats anymore. Why do I feel fine one day and awful the next for no reason? Up and down days, I see correlate with sleep a ton. So melatonin, one of my favorite things to be doing to correct sleep cycles and just get these things down pat. Also helping with some hormonal things there too, even with certain cancer therapies and certain infertility therapies. High dosing of melatonin is fantastic for stuff like this. But yeah, and maybe there's other inflammatory stressors that you're encountering all the time too, but some blood work, you can pretty much answer all these questions for why you're feeling like you're flip-flopping all the time. If it's a mental health thing, maybe doing kava, I would say, because you can promote good dopamine reception and feedback loops there and just put you in a good mood. But if there's inflammatory triggers constantly, guys, that is going to change neurochemistry and the rest of your body too. So feeling unpredictable isn't just random. It's unstable chemistry there. So, but either way, good stuff, folks. What do you say here? I think for the time being here, I'm probably going to end the live there just because it's late at night. Just got used to the co-Rumble YouTube streaming there. But yes, good stuff. We're definitely going to be back. Maybe even doing this bright and early tomorrow morning. That'd be pretty cool. And get a ton of good content pumped out for you guys. So thank you for watching. You could be anywhere in the world, but you are here with me. And check us back out here tomorrow. And oh my goodness, we got our second Rumble person in as soon as I'm about to close things out. Nas, oh my goodness, my YouTube people. What's up, Nas?
Look at this dude. Wait till you see the.
What's up there? How we doing? I love it. I love seeing the YouTube family come on in here. How am I doing today? I'm doing pretty good. I just ran through a bunch of health questions. Doing a little Rumble YouTube co-live stream, which is pretty cool. Figured out how to do this tonight. didn't even know I could do this, but getting sick of freaking being on TikTok, figured may as well start doing stuff on here because there's like-minded people and people that do not have a mental illness, as Dr.
Are
Phil
you
would say.
delusional? Do you suffer from a mental illness?
So, but I wish it wasn't this late. Unfortunately, it is, but I'm going to wrap things up for the night here. Sorry you joined a little bit later, Nas, but that's pretty much all we're going to be doing here. So stay healthy, stay free as always. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll be back tomorrow.